Welcome to Michinori, Journey of Life. This is Nadia Sakurai, the creator of this podcast series. Every week, I'll take you along on a voyage filled with ups and downs as we listen to various people share their experiences of their careers and life endeavor. The voices you will hear are of those who have successfully found their calling, be it in the field of art or entrepreneurship. Did they always know what they wanted to do? What were the challenges they faced? How did they reach where they are now? Buckle up as we venture these questions and more. This week, we're diving into the story of Alex Hobby.
Hi, my name is Alex. Well, I guess Alex Hobby or Alex, and I am the host of Time for Your Hobby podcast. I am 31 years old, but the way I like to think it, I did 31 rotations around the earth or around the sun. So, I'm a well-traveled traveler for now. And I am a podcaster. I produce music. It's been a while. And I am also now a board game designer. So I host a podcast called Time for Your Hobby. It's a podcast all about interviewing people from all walks of life from around the world about their hobbies. And I've been doing this for a while, and I'm not bored of learning about new hobbies. It's made for anyone and everyone who has a hobby. For me personally, hobbies play a big role on an individual's well-being because, for example, my grandfather was an individual who worked his entire life to provide for the family and stuff like that. But once he got older, where he was no longer able to work, he was at home and he did not know what to do with himself. He didn't really have a hobby. He was just sitting there, and it dawned on me saying, we as humans, as much as the work culture is nowadays, you have to work 1,000 hours a week to make $2 to feed yourself for like 30 seconds. The idea of also taking some time for yourself plays a significant role on your physical health, your mental health, spiritual health, any type of health. And it will help you get through a lot of things in life. And I'm not a psychologist or a therapist or anything like that, but I feel like a lot of like personal development can be not solved, but managed or not controlled, but like say help. It can help. A lot of like hobbies can help with your well-being in terms of like how you interact with other people or how you deal with stress or how you deal with pressure or anxiety, depression, or anything. And once again, I'm not a doctor. I have no scientific proof behind any of this, but it's just from what I've experienced through talking to people who open up about their hobbies and how it played a role in their lives and it made their lives better, or connecting with other people made me realize that it is an understated element in the human culture. So this podcast started off back in, I guess, May 2018, where I've been producing music for 10 years at that point, or 15. I'm really bad with numbers right now. And I was thinking, okay, yeah, I like this. And then a friend said, I'm going to start a podcast. And I said to myself, I have all the equipment. I have the knowledge of audio editing. Why don't I do it as well? Just for fun. See, I like to challenge myself. But the problem was I'm like, what should I talk about? I couldn't think of a topic that I could go for a while. And then just thinking, maybe I should do a podcast about life tips. And I'm like, what tips do I have to give? How to be bald? Yeah, a great tip. No. So I'm like, okay, that doesn't work. Why don't I talk about hobbies? Everybody has hobbies. Yeah, let's talk about hobbies. I was going to talk about my own first, but I'm like, nah, nobody wants to just hear me talk about my hobby all the time. Let me just interview other people. And I came up with the idea and I said, this actually could work. For the first 20 episodes, it was just friends and family. And then it became strangers, which was kind of interesting because I get to learn about people who I know nothing about. So when I first started my podcast, some of the challenges were, of course, technical, because There's always new softwares or technical issues or recording. At first I was recording in person, and when I did my first online interview, geez, I think I used Skype and I used another software, and it was, I don't think it was great, but it was just like what I had at the time. So I used it, and it's just keeping up with the services, and there's always a fee for different things. So finding the right tools was a big challenge. And maybe at first finding guests was kind of a challenge, but it eventually got smoother and smoother. And yeah, I guess those were my two biggest challenges when it came to starting my podcast. My tactic to find guests, which is similar to today, kind of, is I would go on Reddit. I remember it was like a whole process. First off, I went on Reddit finding guests in like the hobbies subreddit. And then I did some, was it Instagram? I found people on there. Then Twitch, then Twitter, or X, I guess now. And then what else am I using? Now, sometimes, most of the time, it's people who reach out to me. So, yeah, basically, people reach out. I still sometimes reach out to other people, but I have slowed down. I used to release every week for 4 years. And then, like, close to my 5th year, I'm doing once a month because I have kids and, just time balancing. So I'm still doing it, but just slower. Actually, as of today, I have 233 thanks to Nadia. Nadia came on my show and talked about her hobby of dancing. So yeah, to reach this many episodes, I didn't think I would get this far. And I thought I was going to stop like at 100 or even less. And here I am at 233. And one of my, it's stupid little goals I have for my podcast is to record 365 episodes, just so there's an episode or like there's a hobby for every day of the year. That's like a goal I have. I don't know if I'm ever going to reach it, especially at this speed, but kind of just be cool to say like, hey, I have an episode for every single day. And the idea is like my kids, when they get older, they can listen to it if they're ever feeling down or looking for a new hobby. And he's like, oh, cool. I can hear dad talking to somebody about their hobby, and I like that hobby. And they can listen to every day of the year. So yeah, kids, you get to listen to my voice for every day. If I ever were to have them on the show, it'd be my last episodes. Kind of like I tie it up by having my kids on the show. Like I started the show before the kids were there, and I'm ending it when they're there so I can go enjoy their hobbies. So just watch them find a passion and just like support it. A positive, memorable moments I had was, I think it was episode 27, is an individual but named Ertai, who is a blind board gamer. And this one was really special to me because it was about an individual who loves board games. And at the same time, this individual was having a medical situation where he was losing his eyesight. So as he was losing his eyesight, he was not able to play as much his board game. But in the meantime, as he was losing it, he decided to try to develop an app. Not try, he did. He developed an app so he can read the cards of his favorite board game. So once he is blind, he can still play that game. Now, to me, that's special because it shows that there's true dedication to what you love doing. And he realized the impact of this having a positive feeling in his life. I also get to learn about hobbies that are new to me that I've never heard of, like urbexing. So urbexing is urban exploring, and this one is an individual from Scotland where they went to go adventure in an abandoned building, and this was like a hospital, and they're walking, and this is like the creepiest thing that I remember hearing. And then he's at the top of these like rotating staircases, or like staircases going down, and he hears like a and they're like, okay, that's weird. And they keep going down, and then they hear and then silence, and then they hear footsteps like walking like dun, 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 like sprinting, but they didn't see, they just heard the sound, and it was like a yell, and they're like, yeah, we're out. And then they left, they ran. And then there's like, they don't even know if that was a human sound or anything else, but that was just creepy to go in. It was like dark and stuff like that. Honestly, at this point with 233 episodes, I honestly love any hobby. And it's not necessarily the hobby that's the most important part for me. It's the individual who comes on in terms of like, and I'm talking about like fame. I interview people and I don't care about how many followers you have, who you are and stuff like that. I care about you and your connection to your hobby. What does your hobby mean to you? Now, to me, that's what I'm excited about. It's more finding somebody who is passionate about something. Whether it's somebody who likes horseback riding or collecting coins or cleaning cell phones, for example, it can be a simple hobby itself. I just want to know more about what drives you to your hobby. What kind of thing makes you happy? When I first started, I think it was a little more rigid, but as I went along, it got more free flowing. Sure, I still have some questions that are based in like what I write down because I want to bring back certain elements in every episode, like the misconception question. But sometimes the follow-up questions and the humor and they're like the stupid like mind farts that I get. It's something like that because I try to connect with the individual as well. And my thing is I tend to go at the speed of my guests. If my guest wants a more relaxed podcast episode where we just talk casually, we'll do that. If my guest wants to be more animated and stuff like that, I can match that energy. So yeah, the sensitive topics, they tend to be trickier, but it's all about understanding your guests and where they're coming from. I try my best to respect my guests because they took the time to come on my podcast. And also I remind them that if there's anything they don't want to answer, we can always remove it. Yeah. It's been a while, but I have this like interactive world map on my website where people can go check that out and they'll find like little points on where my guests are from. Not the city, but just the general country. I think right now, I lost track, but I think it's either between 28 to 30 countries. And I have to update it. So you can go to like Japan, you're like, oh cool, this person's from Japan and this is their hobby. Or you can go to Nigeria and like, oh, this person is the hobby in Nigeria, cool. Oh, I have the same hobby. Oh, we have the same interest. So the goal of having the international world map is just to show that we are all connected in the sense like, oh, the hobby, just because it's in a different country doesn't necessarily mean it's completely different. They might just have like some little differences that are like, oh, cool. We have somebody who's in Egypt who plays video games. What is the commonality between that and let's say Canada or Brazil and stuff like that? It's just, it helped to connect the world together and hopefully let people learn about hobbies from around the world. You know what? I love when people who have similar hobbies come on the show. The simple reason why is that people may have the same hobby, but they have the different experience, history, connection to that hobby, which will appease different people who are listening. I like breaking down misconceptions for hobbies. That is one of my favorite questions to ask on every single episode, because then when somebody talks to me about a hobby, he's like, oh, you did a hobby about that? I'm like, hold up, let me break it down for you. It's not this. I have a friend, she did or does shibari, which is a Japanese art style of tying ropes in intricate ways to constrain the body, and it's an art form. I had another individual who does pole dancing, somebody who does fursuiting, and also somebody who does exotic photography and stuff like that. So those might be more scandalous hobbies. And people who are like, oh, I didn't listen to that podcast because I had these ideas. Like, for example, the pole dancing, like, I didn't listen to that podcast because it was going to be, or that podcast episode, because it was going to be all about strippers. And that's where I come in. I'm here to break stereotypes, break misconceptions. I'm like, no, it's not, because the person who's doing it is a dear friend of mine, and she's actually a doctor. And she does this as an exercise, and pole dancing is an intense exercise. Take it from me, I've tried it, and it's intense in two ways. Your body when you're working out, and especially if you have hairy legs, because I went down the pole with the hairy legs and it's like instant rug burn. So either I gotta figure out a way to shave my legs so I don't get razor burn and do that, but that will take at least 17 razors. One word to sum up my entire podcast journey? Wow. You know when you die and your whole life flashes before your eyes? I'm having one of those moments where I'm just flashing my entire podcast journey before my eyes, and I'm not dying. I'm not saying that. I'm just having that moment where I'm just flashing and realizing what my podcast means to me and what it's been. Oh, it's like saying, who's my favorite child? I love them both. I love them all. My favorite, or one word to sum it up. I have to go with the word passion, and it has a double meaning. Passion meaning my passion for it, and passion for my guest's passion. Does it sound cliche when I say my inspirations are my guests? Because sometimes I have guests who come on and they're a little shy at first, but as they open up, they're really into it, and they're like, yo, I am inspired to learn more about you and learn what makes you happy. So ideally, my inspirations are my guests. That's what actually keeps me going for this long. They all bring something different to the table, and sometimes I have the biggest, stupidest smile on my face when I'm interviewing, and of course people can't see it, but I'm like, oh, this is awesome. I'm not even thinking this is awesome content. I'm like, this is just an awesome conversation. It's kind of like I'm meeting back with an old friend that I haven't caught up in a while. I'm just like, yo, how have you been? What have you been up to? Whoa, that's crazy. I want to know more about that. You learn something new every day. Oh, something that I wish I knew when I started. But I wish I knew how to reach more people. And I'm not talking about reaching more people to listen to my podcast. I wish I knew ways to find more individuals, in the sense that I wish I would have been able to reach somebody that I maybe missed the opportunity now. In terms of some individual who's like, oh, I love this hobby, but they made a post online and then never talked again or deleted their account, and something may have happened to them and stuff like that. I wish I knew how to reach to more people before. So either I can help them and they can end up helping somebody else later on. So it's the idea I wish I knew how to reach more people. My best advice is dig around, trial and error. You're not going to get it perfect the first time, and that's okay. Podcasting, like any other hobby or anything else, is a growing experience. So don't be scared to fail, because you're not really failing when you're learning. You could find everything online for free. I'm a big proponent on that. In order to do my podcast, I learned everything online for free. I'm not an expert, but there's a lot of tools. YouTube is a big one. So the idea that you have to pay hundreds and thousands of dollars to learn how to say the word microphone into the microphone seems ridiculous, because podcasting is pretty subjective. If you think about it, you're never going to please everybody. Trying to reach the goal of trying to please everybody is like saying there is one universally liked food that everybody loves. You're going to have a niche audience who's going to enjoy your stuff. You're going to have people who are not going to enjoy your stuff, and that's okay. Hey, younger Alex, love the hair you have on your head. Just wave it in the air like you just don't care. It's magical. What I'll have to say is that this podcast will mean a lot to you, to people who listen to it. It will play an important role in, hopefully in the future, for people who are listening to it. There's people who are going to reach out to you saying that they want to be a guest on your show, and it has helped them. Don't stop. I know there's some points you'll think, oh, okay, I'm done with this podcast. And not because you're unpassionate about it. It's just that time constraints and stuff like that. But there's certain elements that this will play an important role. And you don't have kids yet because it's 2018, but you will have two. And it will be something that you could pass down to them in hopes it can help them be good for them. Let's say in a situation, if you were to die, Alex, at least they'll have recordings of your voice so they can listen to you if they're ever having a hard day.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Michinori Journey of Life. Hasn't this episode inspired you to indulge in your hobbies? It's remarkable how Alex not only skillfully showcases people's passion for their hobbies, but also genuinely cares about his interviewees. There's so much wisdom to glean from his conversations. Don't miss out on more captivating hobby stories. Listen to Alex's podcast, Time for Your Hobby, where he explores the profound connections between individuals and their passions. To stay updated on his journey and reach out to him, be sure to follow Alex on his social media accounts, which you can find on the Michinori website. And keep your eyes peeled for exciting news about his upcoming board game. Visit www.nadiasakurai.com/Michinori for more podcast details. You can find the website URL in the description. If you liked this episode, make sure to share the podcast or tell your friend about it. See you on the next voyage!